Hello again, everyone. It's always a pleasure to be here and have this connection with all of you. It's a very special thing to be up here. Maybe all of you will know it sometime. And today I want to read from the chapter 11 of the Gita. Chapter 11 is the divine vision is called in this book. Is when Krishna manifests his cosmic self to Arjuna. And this dance I'm going to read happens right after that. The Blessed Lord said, "Very difficult it is to behold as you have done the vision of the divine universe. Even the gods yearn to see it." So in the context of our teachings, this divine vision is what we call samadhi, cosmic consciousness, just to put out there to make it clear from the beginning. And this phrase, even the God, well, we already know it's difficult, so there's no reason to go into that. But this phrase, even the gods yearn to see it, reminds me of something else that comes up in the Hindu scriptures at some point, which is that physical bodies, that even the gods desire, you could say, a physical body or something to that regard. Basically that it's a blessing to have a physical body, and even the gods desire. And to illustrate this point, and also to make the connection to the particular stanza which I read, I want to tell a story which Swami Ananda used to tell. And this story was about a man, a yogi, and he was very devoted. He meditated many hours a day, and he gained, he was very good. So one time, during this meditation, an angel came down to see him and he said, "Your meditation has been very good. It has pleased God, and you have earned a boon." And the yogi was listening. "Oh, what have I earned? Tell me." And the angel said, "Because of your education, your practices, you have earned the boon to be able to, right now, live your physical body consciously and come to heaven." And the yogi was not particularly impressed or excited. He simply asked, "Oh, that's very interesting. Please tell me, what are the advantages of this boon? What are the advantages of going to heaven?" So the angel was confused. Well, nobody asked this. Usually people are just thrilled to go to heaven and that's it. But since you asked me, let me to meet your family members, to reunite with your family members which have passed away. You will be able to mix with angels, with gods, with the devas, and you will be very, very happy. And the yogi, see, he was very smart. He had a practical experience of the things of creation. So he said, "Well, that sounds very good, but I have learned over the years that everything comes with certain disadvantages. There's nothing free, you could say. So what are the disadvantages of this?" And the angel was like, "Oh, well, you're certainly a very strange fellow, but since you asked me, I have to answer. There are some disadvantages. And it is, you may spend 100 years, maybe 1,000 years, maybe 10,000 years happily living in hell, but it will be a limited time, and sooner or later, your karma will be such that it will bring you back to earth. And when that happens, your happiness will decrease, and you'll start to yearn for the things of the world until finally you're forced to reincarnate in this body." And so the yogi was not impressed. He said, "I cannot believe that anybody could ever accept this boon. It sounds like almost like a punishment to take these conditions. Can you not offer me something better than this?" And the angel said, "Well, yes, there is something better. There is a state in which there is not this kind of duality, but that is even too high for us angels. We don't know about it. But what we do know is that in order to achieve that high state, you have to stay on this earth and keep up with your meditation, keep up with your practices." And so the yogi kindly refused this boon, and he stayed on earth, and he kept his practices, and after a few years he was free, he achieved samadhi and attained that high state of consciousness with no duality in it. So I wanted to pick up, this is a beautiful story, and I wanted to pick it up from two different sides. On the one side, I'll shortly go into this, because on the one side, we hear a lot on the spiritual path. We should reject this world, not enjoy anything on this world, and this and that and that. And to a certain degree, it is true. But I also want to say that it is not wrong in itself. See, it is not wrong by itself or in itself to enjoy the things of this world, or the next, for that matter, of heaven. God created this whole universe. He made it beautiful. He made it supremely enjoyable. And if you see the stories of our masters, there were such manifestations of joy. They could enjoy everything. Now, and God did not go into the trouble to create such things so that we could go to his face and say, "You made such a lousy job. Everything is ugly. I don't want any of it." What kind of child would do that to their father? Now, the issue is not about enjoying the things of this world, it's about how we enjoy them. Swamiji used to say we have to enjoy them with the joy of God. Now, that may be a little abstract, and I cannot say I fully understand that. I try, we all try, I hope, but it helps me to have a more down-to-earth image. Imagine we're reading a book or watching a movie, and the hero, if it's a good book, if it's an engaging book, there will be ups and downs to the hero, right? But no matter how bad the situation of the hero is, we're still engaged. We may feel for him, but we're still enjoying. We want to keep reading, see what happening. There's a lot of enjoyment there. Now, why can't we do that with our own lives? It's because we're so emotionally attached. But see, if we take a step back and learn to kind of observe and see our lives as we would a book or a movie, then we can learn to enjoy everything, even the ups and the downs, and we can find a lot of joy in this creation. Swamiji, I had a tendency to look for the painful experiences. Well, this is even before I came here. 10 years ago, 11 years ago, I had this tendency, and I wrote to Swamiji, how can I ever want to be happy or to look for good things if I know that the painful experiences will take me closer to God? Might as well look for those. Those are the ones that make me happy ultimately. And he said, yes, there's truth to that. And that was the way of Kali Yuga. There's many Christian saints that have done with that. But Master has come with a special dispensation, a new dispensation. He has come to show us that we can find God also through joy and not only through suffering. So let's reflect on that. Now, the other part that the other aspect of this story that I wanted to talk about is the most obvious one, which is the one that this world is a school, and that we are so very blessed to consciously be in this school, to have this physical body, and to consciously have chosen to do the spiritual search, to take on the spiritual path, to search for God. Now, a school is not necessarily, it's not meant to make the students suffer. That's not its design, and this world is not designed necessarily to make us suffer. But it is designed to challenge us. It is designed to challenge us so that we can learn those lessons that we need in order to progress and learn that which we need to. If we take the image of a school a little, we keep taking, and we take it to, we were speaking about heaven before. We could say that heaven, in this case, is like recess. It's like holiday, Most of the kids, you need it because after a full year of banging your head against the books, there's some need of relaxation, of, there's that tension and relaxing principle which we learn in energization. We need it most of the time. But that doesn't take away the fact that we are actually learning when we go to school. Now, some very, very, very special students that, they have these samskars, they may like to study and they may like to, learn, during the vacations also, during the holiday and the recess. I was not one of those. But there are some very special ones, and so there are very special souls which still can learn. Those whose desire for God is so intense that even the happiness of the astral world becomes hell for them because of that sense of separation. That can happen, but generally it doesn't. We are here in this world and we have that blessing. And what are you going to do? Let's suppose... I have heard, the point I'm wanting to make is that we all realize how lucky, how fortunate we are. I have heard some devotees that have said, I don't want to be on this world, I want to get away as soon as possible, which the intention is good, see? The intention is good, but I don't think it's enough. And if we go back to the image of the school, let's say we are starting 11th grade. Now, in India, that means a lot. We are starting 11th grade. And to simplify, let's say we have 3 kinds of students. One, there's the complainer. All of their energy goes into feeling sorry for themselves and saying how much effort this is and how hard I have it and this and that. They'll graduate, but, well, it won't be smooth, right? Now, there's the good student, which will, with enthusiasm, will go and take on, we know Neha, Ashish's daughter, was here a few weeks ago or a couple months ago, and she's taking on everything that she can, and, she looks so happy, so enthusiastic about it. But then she makes it a point to say, you ask her, how are you? She says, I'm good, I'm okay. She knows that she's in 11th and she thinks she shouldn't be enjoying, but she looks like she's enjoying, and that's a great attitude to have in the school of life. Now, the other option we have is to, as those who say, I don't want this world, let me drop out, is to drop out of school. Now, is that really an option? Is dropping out of school going to help us to get that diploma? Of course not. So let's be grateful for the challenges. Let's be grateful for the chances we get to study. A saint is not a delicate flower that the breeze comes and all the petals fly away, the animals comes and eat it, or whatever. It's not, in a poetic way, you can say they're a flower, but they're not weak. A saint is not made in idyllic circumstances. If you read the life of any saint, they are the ones who have had it the worst. They are the ones who have had the most challenges. They are the ones who have had the most trials and tribulations. But they are the ones that have taken those trials and tribulations with the right attitude. They have risen up to the occasion. They have become conquerors of their circumstances. So a saint is not a delicate flower. They are warriors and they're conquerors, and that's what we have to be on the spiritual path. So please try and do welcome the challenges that come to you in this life. I'm going to give a very silly but kind of funny example. When I was I was always very, very, very shy. I could never have imagined myself being here. I have never met anybody, I promise, that was half as shy than I was. If I could not live in India, there's too many people. If in Uruguay, the streets near to my home could be pretty empty, but if I was walking on the sidewalk and I saw somebody walking on the same side of the sidewalk as me, on the opposite direction, I couldn't take it. It was too embarrassing to be seen, so I'd cross to the other side of the street. I have never given a presentation in school, only twice in my life, because I would prefer to get zeros than to have to speak in front of people. That's how bad it was. So, slowly I got into this yoga. So some impediments, some resistances started to fade away, but there are still 3 things that I will never do. The first one is speaking in public. I shall never do that. The second one is singing, let alone singing in public. Just singing, impossible. Not gonna happen. In fact, I only started singing when I came to Ananda. And the third one, worst of all, I will never, ever, ever dance. That's the worst imaginable punishment, not because I didn't like it, just because you understand. So, sorry. So here was 2012, I was in Ananda village, and what's happening, Narayani and another friend called Avital, they were organizing, guess what? A dance of the young people, by the young people, for Swamiji himself. What to do? They came to me and they asked me, will you participate? And when something's for Swamiji, you don't say no, right? I mean, my mind was saying no, never, not going to happen, but I just said, let me think about it. So Narayani took it, let me think about it, took me to my ward. So I went back, I was doing my work in the computer, it was nighttime, and I was going in my head over all the possible excuses I could give for not doing it. And at some point, I was very fortunate in this life that at least I've been, most of the time I think, I've been honest and sincere. So at the end I had to admit to myself, well, why am I so eager to reject this? Is it because there's a principle at stake? Not really. Is it because I'm scared of what people may think of me if I go in front of them and try to, move my feet and move my arms and call it dancing? Yes, I am scared. And what do I know in the spiritual path? Any challenge that we do not face, it will come back to us again and again, and bigger and bigger and bigger, until finally we're forced to do it anyway. So I took a deep breath. What can I do now? Better get this over right now. And so I said yes. And it went well. There's nothing special about the rest of the story. But think about it. Whenever you have one of those challenges, ask yourself, why am I unwilling? Is it because there's a principle? Then that's a very valid reason to not do something. But is it because I'm being unwilling? Is it because I'm being lazy? Is it because I'm scared? Then you might as well do it right now. Otherwise, you'll have to do it anyway, and you'll have no option but that. So, that's a good practice to put into our lives. But the most important thing, I think, life can be challenging. It can be a joyful challenge, but it can very often be a not so joyful challenge. But I think the last thing I want to bring up is that the most important thing is to not be discouraged. It is not to be discouraged because, we have chosen to be in the spiritual path, even as Arjuna chose Krishna. You all know the story, I don't have to say it, but Arjuna chose Krishna's presence as his charioteer. He would not fight in the battle of Kurukshetra, and Duryodhana got his whole army. So you could say Arjuna chose the hard path, but as we have chosen the same as Arjuna, then, at the end of the day, why did Arjuna chose Krishna? Because he knew that with Krishna by his side, victory was guaranteed. No matter what could happen, victory was sure to come. And you remember what happened at some point, Bhishma. Oh, and God, by the way, God, He comes, but we may not even realize it. It is very interesting how many of the most saintly people one can know, everybody knows they're saintly, everybody is very inspired by them, most everybody, but they themselves, they don't know it. Isn't that true? And the Christian Bible says that God comes like a thief in the night. We won't see Him, we may not see Him, we may not hear Him, but for all we know, He may already be with us. He may already come into our house or our temple. So let us never lose courage, let us never lose faith, because we are the last person able to judge how far or how close we have come. We don't know. All that matters is to make our best effort. And Krishna was Arjuna's charioteer. his influence was very subtle. He guided his horses, but Arjuna had to do the battle. He had vowed not to take up arms. But then I was looking this up today because, for this satsang actually, I only learned this story today because I thought it was very interesting. What happened when Bhishma came into the fray with full strength? Now, Bhishma represents the ego in ourselves, and he, in the Mahabharata, in that allegory, he was an invincible warrior. He was all-powerful, and Arjuna represents the devotee, and he had no chance. He was completely overwhelmed. And what happened in that moment? What happened is that Krishna broke his vow, and he defended Arjuna from Bhishma. So even so, for us, when we have done our best, the ego is a formidable warrior. His might is uncomparable, but the Lord is there. And when we have done our best, there will be times that it seems like everything is against us, and we are about to lose that battle. And then we will find also that even as Krishna came into the aid of Arjuna, so will God come into our aid. And I think I will close with that. Om Guru.